Mayor LaToya Cantrell says she does not make threats, but if 3 property taxes on tomorrow's ballot fail, one way to fill that gap is by moving from furloughs to layoffs. The mayor today made one last pitch for the proposition, which are facing opposition by major government watchdog groups. Paul Murphy reports.
Mayor LaToya Cantrell is pushing a complex package of property tax propositions that would reconfigure 5 soon-to-expire taxes into 4 new ones. She says the goal is to boost funding for infrastructure, economic development, affordable housing, and early childhood education.
They're not sexy. No, they're not. But they are critical to the viability and sustainability of the city of New Orleans.
Proposition 1 would increase and combine 2 existing property taxes for capital improvements and streets and traffic signals. The new tax would be dedicated to streets, drainage, facility maintenance, vehicles, and equipment. Proposition 2 would reduce an existing property tax dedicated to public libraries. It would expand the uses of the money to include both libraries and early childhood education, but it would cut revenue for New Orleans public libraries by 40%. And Proposition 3 would split up an existing property tax dedicated to housing and economic development. It would be replaced by 2 separate taxes, one for economic development and another for housing and blight alleviation. Mayor Cantrell says if the propositions fail, it would leave a $23 million to $25 million hole in next year's budget.
These propositions are built into our 2021 budget. So clearly, if they don't pass, I have to figure out how to fill that gap, which could be done by way of moving from furloughs to layoffs.
The independent budget watchdog Bureau of Governmental Research has come out against all 3 propositions. BGR says the city has not yet articulated detailed enough plans for the funds.
So even though they have the potential to address compelling needs, the voters don't have enough information to understand exactly how the city would go about doing that.
City CAO Gilbert Montano argues the administration put a lot of thought and planning into the millage package.
It's not arbitrary, it's not without plan, it's not without thoughtfulness.
The current taxes expire at the end of the year. If the tax propositions pass on Saturday, the changes to the taxes would go into effect January 1st. Paul Murphy, Eyewitness News.
Election officials are making sure voting machines are in place for tomorrow's runoff election. Poll workers loaded the voting machines and pandemic supplies like hand sanitizer and PPE for volunteers onto trucks this morning. 1,800 machines are being put into place at polling locations across Orleans Parish.